and welcome to another session of Green Tea, where I spill the tea on environmental issues. For those of you who were born before 1995 or live under a rock, spilling tea means gossiping. But we are not just a gossiping podcast. Here we talk about scientific findings and themes that have to do with our planet, because it does affect us all. So sit down and relax. Today we will be talking about habitat degradation. What is habitat degradation, you ask? Well, it is the total or partial destruction of an area to the point where it struggles to support its native species, resulting in a degree of loss of biodiversity depending on the impact. Habitat loss is one of the biggest threats to animal species. It is classified by IUCN as a main threat to 85% of species that are classified as threatened or endangered. 85%. Just like humans, animals need a certain range to roam around and look for resources. The size of this area is a limiting factor, and if it becomes too small, the population sustainability is no longer possible. WWF, World Wildlife Fund, estimates that around half of the Earth's original forests have disappeared. These alarming numbers are expected to get worse, as forests are still being removed 10 times faster than they could ever regrow. There is no denying that anthropogenic impact is the main cause of habitat loss, because of things like overexploitation of resources like mining and logging. However, with a population of 7.7 billion, we have a lot of humans to feed. So, the main cause of habitat loss is the expansion of agricultural lands into forest areas. It is necessary to cut down the natural existing forests in order to open spaces for crops and cattle. I'll leave it to you how you define what is necessary. One of the species that is extremely affected by seeing its habitat decreasing in area and quality is the Sumatran elephant.
Elephas maximus sumatrensis.
This species is classified as critically endangered by the IUCN Red List, and among other threats like poaching and species commercial use, habitat loss is by far the most impactful. It is things like mining, burning, logging, and expansion of roads that contribute to this. The Sumatran elephant is the smallest of the 3 subspecies of Asian elephant, and it is endemic to Sumatra, Indonesia, being more concentrated in Riau province. If someone listening to this is Indonesian and I just butchered that name, I deeply apologize. The perfect habitat for this species are non-peat lowland forests with less than 300 meters of altitude. Well, the problem is that lowland forests are the ones more targeted to deforestation, as they are located in more accessible grounds for agriculture. Due to this, the Sumatran elephant population has declined at least 80% during the past 3 generations. The estimated number of individuals right now is just about 1,500. 75 years ago, Sumatra was covered by about 85% of its natural forest. But with human population growth and increasing demand for resources, these habitats are rapidly declining. The fact that the forest cover is now separated into blocks smaller than 250 square kilometers is an extreme conservation problem, as elephants tend to avoid forest edges. This is what we call fragmentation. Fragmentation is a huge problem in Sumatra, with the number of patches increasing and the size of them reducing. Just for you to understand how extreme it is, the number of fragments 30 years ago was 104, and it has increased to more than 1,700. Overall, due to the impact of habitat loss and consequent fragmentation, elephants have lost an astonishing 78% of their suitable habitat, with only 2 patches being truly viable for them at the moment. Imagine if your whole neighborhood was destroyed except for 2 houses, and then the government tells you that you'll have to share those 2 houses with your whole neighborhood. Pretty drastic, right? Well, as President Donald Trump would probably say, so what is the problem with that? They'll just have to cuddle up to each other.
All of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax.
The truth is, elephants will start going into farms and commercial plantations in search for food. This is an enormous problem as the human-animal conflicts affect both parts. The communities lose profitable resources and the animals are frequently killed. This is very evident in Sumatra as well, since there are so many reports of animals invading places like palm oil plantations. WWF has effectively reduced this conflict by hiring rangers with light and noise devices, as well as training a squad of elephants that will lead the fugitives back into their tiny forest patches. Well, don't get me wrong, it is pretty good that there are less casualties. However, if we look at the bigger picture, where we had to train elephants to keep their conspecifics out of villages and farms because we destroyed their habitat, it is all pretty weird and sad. By the way, I do gotta say that the elephant squad is made only by rescued elephants who could not return to the wild, which I think it is pretty cool. When thinking about future directions, we gotta think about what we already have. And in the case of the Sumatran elephant, it's not very much. This species is very data deficient in terms of home ranges and habitat requirements. And this is pretty much the crucial data to plan any type of conservation project. This is exactly what PTES, People's Trust for Endangered Species, is trying to do. Using remote sensing and landscape ecology, they have built the LEAP program, that stands for Landscape Ecology and Primatology, that aims to investigate the impact that the deforestation and degradation of tropical forests has on species survival, ecosystem sustainability, and carbon pools. After assessing the habitat requirements of the elephants, they plan to design corridors linking the forest fragments. It is imperative to involve local communities and reinforce the idea of co-benefits. By creating these corridors, the planted trees will trap more carbon, the elephants will have a bigger habitat, and communities will benefit with the reduction of elephants invading croplands and farms. After reading such sad stories about what is happening to the Sumatran elephant, reading about this project really made me look at the elephant's future with a more positive perspective. It is important to notice that this project, if successful, will not only help the communities, the ecosystem and the elephants, as well as other endangered species present in Sumatra. Well, that is all for today. I hope that you can take out of this the impact that habitat loss can have not only in animals but also in human communities, while most of us that live in big cities are probably not aware. We need to get everyone involved, from your average person to the industries and the politicians. If you want to get in contact with us and let us know about your stories and your ideas, find us on social media at Green Tea. We will meet you next week for another cuppa. Have a lovely day.
But if you close your eyes